Hello, hello. All right. Hello, hello, hello. Good morning. This is Ashley Kirkwood back again with the Speak Your Way to Cash podcast. And today we're talking about something really near and dear to my heart. We're going to talk about some dreams. Okay. So I will consider this like a motivational Monday. All right. So for all my speakers out there, I have some things I'm going to share with you about dreaming, goal setting in your speaking career and or in your business, and some other stuff that I think will be really helpful as we move through the week. Now, let me kind of tell you what prompted this. And if you can see me and hear me, just drop a yes in the comments. If you can see me and hear me, just drop a yes in the comments. And here's what I'm going to do. We're going to start off with a bit of a commercial break, and then I'm going to come right back to give people time. Speaker, money, cars, jet setting from stage to stage, and all this can be yours if you join me at Speak Your Way to Cash Live 2021, where all you...
Ashley, hold on. First of all, whose jet is this? And second of all, I thought you were going to teach them the real life of a paid professional speaker, like what we do at Speak Your Way to Cash, where we teach people how to get 5- and 6-figure contracts. And whose Porsche is this?
Babe, why can't I stunt for the gram? Fine. Cut. I'll show you the real life of a paid professional speaker. Unfortunately, it's not as glamorous as all of this. Come on. This is the real life of a paid professional speaker. I spend the vast majority of my time right here behind a computer, pitching corporate clients and directing my team on how to do the same. It's not all luxury, but the beautiful thing is if you can really learn how to implement the paid method that I teach to get press, assemble an amazing offer, consistently invite paying clients to work with you, and deliver an amazing speech backed by really good customer service, you can have the life that you want. Unfortunately, you won't just be jet setting around all the time. You will have to put in some work. So at the event in November, I'm going to be teaching you what work you should be putting in and how exactly to get the results that you want. So if you're watching this and you're a speaker, consultant, entrepreneur, thought leader, or anyone else that really wants to make speaking a real revenue stream, then you need to be there and join me so that I can help you start to speak your way to cash. How'd I do, babe?
Now that's more like it.
Get your tickets at speakyourwaytocash.com. I'll see you there.
All right, awesome. So good morning. My name is Ashley Kirkwood with the Speak Your Way to Cash podcast. Hopefully you all are able to see and hear me. If you are, just say yes in the comments so that I know you can see me and you can hear me. And for those of you who stuck around, we just played a clip of the Speak Your Way to Cash commercial for our event coming up in November, which I'm so excited and thrilled about. So Sergio, you're going to edit that out and you're going to start right at the beginning of this show. If you're listening, Sergio is our podcast manager, so you all are seeing some behind the scenes here as well. But again, my name is Ashley Kirkwood with the Speak Your Way to Cash podcast. Super excited to be here with you all this morning to talk about something that is very close to my heart, dreaming. What I want to do is give you an opportunity to think for a minute about the last time that you took time to like purposefully dream, write down your visions and make it really plain. And we're going to talk about the 3 things that allow you to dream and goal set appropriately. Okay. Excellent. Thank you so much. You said I love the commercial. I appreciate it. Okay. So I was listening to an interview this morning with Ava DuVernay, and she was on Guy Riaz's, I think I'm saying his name wrong, but she was on Guy's How I Built This podcast. And they were asking her about how she got her start, because as you all know, she's a prolific writer. She used to be in publicity. She's a producer, all the things, right? And she does it at the top of her game. And one thing that I heard her say was that the reason that she went into the field that she went into later in life, right? This wasn't always her goal or always her dream at all, was because of proximity. And because of proximity, she was able to start dreaming and imagining herself doing something else. And it was so powerful because I thought about all of the things that I've wanted to do in my life for the most part, were informed by proximity. They were informed by my ability to be close enough to someone else who was doing it. And so she talks about how she started off, when people used to ask her when she was younger, what do you want to be when you grow up? She always said lawyer, and she always got a really good response. People were always like, oh my God, you want to be a lawyer? That's amazing. That's so powerful. And I think for me, it's the fact that when people can easily understand what you want to do and see it as good, it's very easy for them to support it. So if you want to be a lawyer, you want to be a doctor, you want to be an engineer, all those things are very easy to support. Now, entrepreneurship, the vast majority of people don't know enough about it to support it. And if you're listening and you're a speaker, a thought leader, a consultant, or anyone else who's looking to make speaking a revenue stream, you know for a fact that it is not necessarily easily understood or widespread. If there were, there'd be no industry for what we do at Speak Your Way to Cash, which is teaching people how to make it happen. So when coming up with your dreams on this week, your goals for this week, there are 3 things I want you to consider in writing those things down, making it plain, and ensuring that you're able to reach your goals and achieve them. And the number one thing that you're going to need to really achieve big dreams is proximity. Proximity. And what I mean by proximity is not that you would have had to have come from a certain family or gone to a certain school, but you need to see someone doing what you want to do well. Okay? Because in my mind, there's a few steps to getting to personal belief. The first is, I believe that it's possible. Okay? So if you want to, we'll use a simple goal. You want to make $1 million in business. Right? It's a tangible goal. It's simple in that it's very easy to articulate. You want to make $1 million in business. First, you have to believe that it's possible. How does that look? Well, I know that there are several other businesses that have at least grossed $1 million in 1 year. I believe it's possible. The second jump, though, and this is where the bridge happens, is like you have to believe that it's possible for you. Okay, that's part 2. A lot of us stop at part 1. We believe that it is possible to be successful, or it is possible to reach a big goal, or it is possible to do something big or to achieve something big. But where most people, in my experience, struggle is the belief that it's possible for them. Okay, and how do you know? And why am I even talking about this morning? Because the truth is, if we don't deal with dreaming, belief, your thoughts, and possibility, even if I were to give you all the steps to make your first million, or to hit $1 million, or to land large clients, or to go out and start your own business successfully, or to leave your job, then you won't do any of the things. So if any of you are stuck in inaction, okay, you're stuck at a place where you think you want something, but you haven't moved towards it, I can guarantee you it's a belief issue. So step 1, you want to be in proximity. And what I mean by proximity is not that you have to be born in a certain environment or work at a certain job. It means that you have to see it. And if you aren't close enough to it to touch it, then you're going to need to put it into your hearing and into your environment every single day. And that may look like listening to very, great podcasts. One of them is, of course, the Speak Your Way to Cash podcast. Another is How I Built This. Okay, it's an NPR podcast and it's phenomenal. Guy does a great job interviewing some of the most prolific business owners of our time. So those are 2 that I really like. Another one is Side Hustle Pro. I really enjoyed that podcast. Very powerful show. There's another podcast. I just started listening to it because Audria was on it. Social Proof. Another really powerful podcast. Interviews predominantly Black, from what I can see, entrepreneurs about how they've hit and surpassed their revenue goals. So there's a lot of great shows you can listen to, but you got to be in proximity. So if you don't have an environment where you could hear these things every day, you're around positive people all the time, you have all these things going for you. If that's not your life, then you have to change your environment in other ways. Okay. So after you deal with proximity, then the second step is belief, right? You have to believe that what you want is possible. I hear a lot of people say, no one else is doing X or no one else is doing Y. And that's why it's so difficult for me to do it, because I'm the only one in the world that's going to do this. Normally in 2021, that's not true. So someone may not be doing it exactly the way that you do it, but there have been at this point other business owners who've done very well in business. There have been other people who've had an invention that they have taken from ideation phase to being out into the world and sold. There's other speakers doing numbers right now, right? There's other people who are achieving in some way. So we don't really, we don't have to distance ourselves from success. Like you can find someone who's doing something close to what you want to do. And even if you can't talk to them or get on a call with them, you can see their success and let it motivate you. So you have to believe that it's possible. For most people, I think this part is a little bit easier because of the internet. You can literally Google most things. So for most of us, believing that it's possible isn't the hard part. It's the third step, believing that it's possible for you. And how do you know whether you are believing that something's possible for you? And I want to make sure I get this right, because what I'm going to do is talk about how you know if you really believe that your goals are possible for you. And then we're going to go into some things that I think you all can do tangibly today, okay, today, to start making sure that those things are a reality. Okay, so believing that it's possible for you. How can I tell if someone believes something is possible for them? I'll use myself as an example, because I don't know y'all life. For me, I know that I believe something is not just possible, but that it's possible for me because I take action steps towards getting that thing done. So if I want to be featured in Forbes, I'm like, oh, I really want to be featured in Forbes. I think that would be so amazing. If I believe that it's possible for me, I wouldn't just have a desire. I would also be pitching to be featured in Forbes. If I want to be on Inc.'s 5,000 list, I believe that it's possible for me. I wouldn't just be believing it. I'd be pitching to be in, I'd apply to be on the Inc. 5,000 list. I have an email going out to my list tomorrow about how people get recognition in large publications. Sure, sometimes the publication just reaches out, but most of the time, people are applying for recognition. So let that sink in, y'all. And if you're not on my email list, you should be, because I'm going to give a list of like how to find these awards and stuff tomorrow. It's something that I teach my academy students. But what you all need to know, a lot of the stuff that you see people doing and achieving, they've worked towards it. It's not like it didn't just happen. They've taken steps towards that thing. So if you want a certain recognition, or you want to be on television and you have a certain desire, apply for it. Apply for it. And the other thing that you'll do is when you see people winning or getting certain recognition or accolades, and you believe that that thing is possible for you too, you don't say things like, and I don't want to offend anyone. I mean, that's not really my main concern. My main concern is y'all getting this info, right? One thing you won't say, you see someone doing something great and you're like, oh, I want to be like you when I get older. You could just do what they're doing now. Like, there isn't anything separating you from people who are achieving except you. So if you see someone in your proximity, in your eyesight, in your sphere, who's your peer, achieving at a high level, gaining recognition, doing certain things, you can do that too. You don't have to wait for some magic like point in time, okay? So speakers, you see someone on a stage that you'd like to be on, and you believe that you too can be on that stage and do an amazing job and rock it. You're not just going to say, oh, I could do that. I could do better than that. No, that's hating, right? What you're going to do is you're going to find out who the organizer is, connect with them on LinkedIn, send them a message. Hey, Sarah, saw that you hosted a phenomenal event this year. Congrats on concluding an amazing event. I can't imagine how much work that'll be. I too speak on X, Y, and Z. I would love to connect with you in a couple of weeks after you've had time to recover from this event. Do you have time for a talk on the 29th at 11 a.m.? Okay, that's what you do, because when you can make things happen. You know what I mean? I think that we marketers and entrepreneurs and business people, we do a really good job of making it look like on our Instagram feeds and everything else, like this is just how it is. It is just lovely. We just make this money and there's nothing happening on the back end. No. Things are happening. People are researching opportunities for us to shine, and we are applying for those opportunities. And through God's grace, faith, and work, we are making those opportunities a reality for ourselves. So if you believe that something is possible for you, I can tell by your actions. I can 100% tell by your actions, by what it is that you are doing on a consistent basis to make something happen for yourself. So on this Monday, before we start the week, I want you to write a list of goals that you have, and then write a belief column, and then write a believe it's possible for me column, right? So one column is like, I'm gonna show you guys what I think you should do. Okay, so the first column is gonna be your goals. I have a red pen, so you may not be able to see this. Then your second column is gonna be believe. Your third column is gonna be for me. So if you have goals, you have these three columns. Like one is goals, one is believe, one is for me, okay? One is goals, one is believe, one is for me. You have these three columns, and then whatever your goals are, I want to lose 15 pounds. All right, cool. You believe it? Yeah, because I've seen a lot of people do it online, whatever. I know that this can happen. And then for me, in that column, you're writing out your actions. Like, what have I done towards this particular goal? And if there's nothing in that third column, there's no actions, then that means that you may believe that it's possible, but you don't believe it's possible for you. So now, how do you get from the I believe it's possible to I believe it's possible for me? Well, one is proximity. What are you listening to that will get you closer to that goal? What are you seeing that'll get you closer to that goal? What are you attending that'll get you closer to that goal? Who are you hiring that'll get you closer to that goal? Like, those are things that we as adults can control. We have a lot more control over our environment than we think. And then two, when you see other people achieving a particular goal that you want to achieve, what is the first thing that you say to yourself? Because I did a podcast interview with a student of mine and a friend, Kelly Parker, on her podcast, which is the Confident Speaker Podcast. I don't know when my episode airs, but I'll definitely share it with you all when it does. And she asked me about comparison and jealousy and all these things. And she was like, people say don't compare yourself to others because it's bad, and don't do this because it's bad. And my thoughts on that are very different. Personally, I don't think comparison in and of itself is bad. I think that what you do after the comparison, the thoughts that you have after the comparison, will tell you whether it's healthy or not. I don't think competition is bad. My friends and I, some of us have businesses that are competitors. Our companies are competitors. That just means we're in the same market going after similarly situated clients. We're competitors. But that doesn't mean the CEOs of those companies that we have to dislike each other or be mean or nasty to each other. I think that's not healthy, being that way or putting down other people. But it's perfectly healthy to compete in a particular industry. That's just business. It is what it is. Comparison isn't bad. Now, the thoughts that you have when you see someone in your field doing well will tell you whether or not you have a healthy sense of comparison or not. Because if the first thing you think is like, oh, I could have done better than her, or she didn't deserve that, I did, then you have a, what do they call it? I don't even talk about it that much, so I can't even think of the word for it. But you don't have an abundance mindset. Like, you have a lack mindset that you need to get over. I think people sometimes call it like a poverty mindset, but like, your mindset is that there's not enough. For me, whenever I start to feel, because I have felt this before, being 100% transparent, whenever I start to feel like, oh man, I'm not doing enough, or I'm not doing as well as I should be doing because someone else over here is doing the same thing as me and they appear to be doing better, I immediately stop myself and take control of my thought process. Because what that typically means is I'm looking around instead of looking up. What do I mean by that? That means I'm looking around, like I'm looking at my peers in a way that's not healthy instead of looking up. I'm not looking at the very tippiest top of the market. I'm looking at colleagues. That's not the way you want to go. You want to be looking up. When you're focused, like you're looking up, you're looking at your next, you're thinking about what you did in the past, not what necessarily other people did in the past, what you did in the past, how you can make it better. You're looking up at the top of your market. You can stay focused easier that way. And if you do look around at what a peer is doing, it should be to like applaud them. Or maybe you look at them and you're like, man, they just achieved that thing. I wonder how they did that. You could just ask them. You know what I mean? Maybe you need to pay them to find that out. Or maybe you can reconstruct it for yourself. Something like an award or something like that. You can just apply for it. So don't get caught up. Don't get caught up. Comparison in and of itself is not bad. When you go to the grocery store, you compare things all the time. No emotion is attached to it. Just make sure that you're comparing yourself in a healthy manner. You see someone else doing something great, you're like, man, if they can do it, that means I can do it too. That's healthy. That's totally healthy. Totally healthy. Unhealthy would be, man, they shouldn't have it because I'm better than them. That's unhealthy. And then also what's unhealthy is like, oh, I wish I could do that. But they have insert all these excuses as to why they're successful and I'm not. That's not healthy. And I don't think that it serves you. And so for a lot of people that come into, even in the programs that I have and the coaching programs that I have, they're always like, oh, they're not always like that. There are some people that have the mindset of, well, I can't do it because I don't have any money to start my business. I can't afford coaching, or I can't do it because I don't have a husband that'll support me. So I can't do that. I can't do it because I don't have a law degree like you, or I have a law degree, but I didn't go to Northwestern like you. I don't have degrees like you, which is why I talk a lot more about my clients' success than my own, because it's more, I think, persuasive, right? Just had a client attended Speaker Ready Cash Live, and she joined Speaker Ready Cash Academy. Within months of joining, I think it was like month 5 or so, 5 or 6, I can't remember. But within months of joining, she landed a 6-figure corporate speaking contract. I didn't land it, she landed it. Now, she utilized some strategies that we teach, but she did that. We have a client that landed a 5-figure speaking package. She just got $10,500 for a speech less than an hour virtually. I didn't do it, she did it. And these are people that before they'd gotten into the program had not achieved these results, okay? Like, so there are other people that have done it, and I try to put that out there more than saying I've done it, to take away that urge that people have to make excuses like, oh, but no, she already knows how to do it. No, that's why. You know what I mean? Like, in any ways, maybe there are some things in your life that make it harder for you to achieve things that I have achieved. However, does that line of thought serve you, or does it sabotage you? And those are the questions that I want you all to ask, even going into this week when you're trying to set goals and you're trying to do different things. Every thought that comes into your mind, ideally, you want that thought to serve you, not sabotage you. And sometimes our biggest critic, our biggest hater is ourselves. The thoughts that we have coming into our mind, if it doesn't serve us, it's sabotaging us. So if I'm wasting time comparing myself to other people, putting myself down, looking at images day in and day out that don't serve me, that only sabotage me, telling myself that I'm not pretty enough, or I'm not smart enough, or I'm not good enough, all those thoughts are doing is sabotaging you. Girl, the enemy doesn't have to do anything to you. You're literally doing it all yourself. So you want to make sure that every thought that comes into your mind serves you, does not sabotage you. I was listening to Speaker Ready Cash podcast episode. I think it's 107. I may have it up. Let me go back. Yep, episode 107. From Free to Fee. How Kelly did it. And one of the things that she talked about was when she was getting paid in like tchotchkes, like notebooks and all that kind of stuff for her speeches before getting paid to speak, her kids would see that. And so now that she's getting paid to speak and pitching for paid engagements, her kids get to see that too. She talked about, anyone with kids, if you have kids, just drop yes in the comments. Yes, amen, right? She talked about when her kids would see her, get these little tchotchkes, these notebooks and everything. And I asked her, I was like, hey, so when you got your first check for speaking, thousands of dollars for speaking for an hour or so, did your kids see that too? And she said, I used to feel guilty. I thought that I was doing my kids a disservice by not having this company already built, by not having all these engagements already in the bag and only showing them mommy as successful. But what I realized is that I am giving them a blessing. And the blessing that I'm giving my children is that they get to see me build this from the ground up. Now, the other blessing that Kelly is giving her kids, and that those of you who are building something from the ground up, despite all the odds, the other blessing that you're giving your kids and your people and your peers is that you're giving them the blessing of literally seeing you develop a skill set that no one can rob you of. See, when I was in corporate and I would go to restaurants and I needed a reservation, I'm going to bring this full circle, but roll with me on this story. if I needed a reservation at Chicago Cut, it was like this restaurant in Chicago, and sometimes they didn't have reservations. When I needed a reservation, I would go in and I would say, hey, I need a reservation. Oh, we're full, Miss Kirkland. We don't have any reservations. I was like, look, I work at Kirkland and Ellis in the building. We do events here all the time. I need a reservation. Oh, yes, absolutely, Miss Kirkwood. And it helped that Kirkwood sounds like Kirkland. It helps. So I would always get a reservation using the name, borrowing the credibility of my old job. If I need a reservation now, I can't borrow that credibility because I don't work there anymore. That can be taken from me. But when you develop a skill set, when you learn how to sell, right? When you learn how to pitch yourself to the press and you learn how to write copy, so you learn how to pitch yourself to the press, what to say so that people see you for who you truly are. Not that you're fluffing it up or anything like that. No, no, no. When you learn how to help people see you for who you really are, which is great, no one can take those skill sets from you. So the beauty of you not taking a shortcut or borrowing someone else's credibility, but really learning skill sets for yourself at events like Speak Your Way to Cash Live and all those other places, and the Speak Your Way to Cash podcast, free and available to the public. The beauty of you learning how to think, learning how to pitch, learning how to sell is no one can take that from you. Some of you right now are working at corporate jobs that are great. You have all the perks of the job. You get, I don't know, at my old job, we used to have like car service. We used to have great vacation benefits. I used to have an assistant, all these great things. But as soon as I left the job, all of that was taken from me. But you know what they couldn't take? Every skill that I learned on the job. The reason you hire coaches and the reason you listen to podcasts like this and the reason why you read books and the reason why you make sure that you're in close proximity to knowledge at all times is because no one can rob you of that. So yes, most of my programs are priced very high. Like the price of them, the investment, it's an investment. There's always a return on that investment, but it's because the knowledge that I'm teaching my students at my events and all this other stuff, no one can take it from them for the rest of their lives. 20 years from now, they'll still know how to do the things that we taught them in Speak Your Way to Cash Academy and at the event in November. So make sure y'all are there. But the goal is very simple. You want to develop tools and skills that no one can ever rob you of. And the beauty of it is when you learn it for yourself, you can then teach it to others. Right? When you learn it for yourself, you can teach it to others. When you learn it for yourself and you have success in it, and you have other people have success in it, you can teach it to others. So you want to make sure that when you're goal setting and when you're dreaming, and the point of all this is like, it's Monday. I want you all to think very critically about your dreams. I want you to dream really, really big. And I want you to believe that anything is possible. And I don't even know if I should say anything is possible, but I want you to believe that the things that God has placed in your heart, the things that you have in your heart that you want to accomplish are possible. And not only are they possible, but they're possible for you. Okay? They're possible for you. And if you struggle with this, listen to episode 105 of the Speak Your Way to Cash podcast, where we talk about the power of consistency and why you may struggle with it so that you can develop more tips and tools and skills to overcome inaction. Because whenever, if you tell me you want to book $500,000 in speaking gigs this year, and I ask you how many people you've pitched and you say none, then there's an issue there. There's either a belief issue there, or you don't believe, like there's a belief issue there. There's a belief issue there. Number one thing is there's a belief issue there. So I wanted to talk about this today on Monday. And if you're like, okay, but I listen to this podcast for speaking tips specifically, listen to episode 102. I talk about getting your first paid speaking engagement, tons of great tips in there. And we always have great tips, but episode 102 is great. Episode 94 is great. I just did an episode that'll air soon with Dorianne about how she landed her first six-figure speaking contract. So there's so many episodes I have about that. But today, I just wanted to make sure you're getting your mind right. The action item is to take that list of goals, what you believe and what's possible for you. And then the end of this month, guys, if you're watching on Instagram, I have a webinar. A webinar, how to land 5- and 6-figure contracts without chasing clients with low to no budget. So you can attend that. And I think the webinar is like less than $20. It may be $19, which is crazy. You never do anything this low. All right, so get in on that. If you're listening to this later, you may have missed it, but the website is ashleynicolekirkwood.com/speaking webinar, ashleynicolekirkwood.com/speaking webinar. Get in on that. It will not last long. And then if you missed it before, make sure you attend the Speak Your Way to Cash live event in November. It's going to be off this chain, out of this world, spectacular. So make sure you are in the building. All right. All right. Y'all have a powerful Monday. If this was good, tag a friend who needs some encouragement, share it far and wide. And as always, I will talk to you guys next time. Thanks so much, Kevin. Appreciate you.